idea on how to order this one. So probably, first things first, we need to extract one digit at a time diri sa ato ang entry sa array. Okay? Or the so-called string input. So obviously, unsay sample ganyan. Diretso Romano, input, then the output. Okay? Sige. Kuha na yung mga input number, output number. So, essentially, read ka diretso sa input. Okay? So, unsa may data type nga gamito nato ani guys sa pagbasa sa ato ang input. Int. Okay? So, we use int. So, ang atong int. Sige. Int input. Okay? So, with int input, ang question ani ron, int. Pilay maximum sa int sa C#. Okay? So, we have to take note about that. This is int. This is not uint, di ba? So, pilay maximum. So, kinsay nag-open dira sa C# nga kwan. Notes. So, mo ni nakanindot sa kwan, no? Internet. Okay? So, if you are using int, you can have a maximum of 1, 3, 6, 9, 10 digits for each entry. Okay? So, mo na yung nakanindot sa int. Now, going to the problem, naabay mga test case diri nga nilapas og 10. Okay, take note. As you can see, you can only have a maximum of 2,147,483,647. And base diri sa ato ang test case, unsa may pinakadako nga entry. So, natay 3 million, diri na atay 156 million. Yeah, test case number 2 na siya'y 1 billion. Okay? And then, wala na test case
Sir.
sa router. Okay. Hello, hello. Hello, mic testing. Are you? Okay. So, sorry. Asa na ganito? Wait, nagtang naputol. Are you experiencing internet connectivity problem dira guys sa inyo ha?
Oo, sir. Usahay, sir.
Mukalit nagputol.
Oo, mawa ang wifi, ang internet.
Oh, so anyway, so looking at the problem again, okay, um, makita nato if you use int, okay, yes, we are able to read as much as 10 integers, okay. So kung magbase lang ta diri sa ato ang tawag ani sa ato ang problem, okay. So ma-accommodate ra jud niya, okay, ang problem. Okay, kay ang pinakadako diri sa test case was kaniraman. Okay, wherein naa siya 10 kabuok digits. But of course, nasudra gyapon siya sa range ani ato ang int. Okay? So, question is, how can we break this down into ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, 100,000, millions, mga place. Okay, so on and so forth. Okay, modulo operation. Okay, but ang problem lang sa jud nato ani is when do you stop performing the modulo operation? Kay di ba sa modulo operation nimo medyo taas-taas kay magsugod ka sa 1, nya tens, hundred, thousands, so on and so forth. Actually, dili lang modulo operation ang gamiton, but also it would involve division. Okay? Division of integers. Ang pinaka-problema nato ani niya when reading is that wala takabaw pilay posible maximum nga range. What if moabot og 11 digits? Okay? So, mo ni ato ang problem diri. What if kaning si hidden test case di ay is composed of not just 10 digits, naabot og 11 digits. Kay posible man daghang orders, di ba? Is that even possible, guys? Okay, so naswertian lang ni sa ato ang hidden test case 7 digits o 6 digits lang. Now, wa ra ba takabaw aning hidden digits? Okay? So, probably kung hinumdum mo katong gibuhat sa una, okay? If you have a number 1, 2, 3, okay? Unsaon ganito ni pag-extract into ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands? Hello? Guys, diyon sa ganin nato na breakdown into ones, tens, hundreds. Okay? Okay? So if this is your num, okay? So let's say sa ones, how do we extract the ones place? Okay? Unsang mathematical operation ang ato ang buhaton? So i-divide nato by unsa man? Ang num i-divide by 100. Yeah, guys, sa number nga 1, 2, 3 or also known as 123, ang ones place is kani?
Ay, sayo. Modulo, sir.
Pag sure mo, ah. Okay, so how do we get the ones place?
Modulo.
Modulo. Okay, so if we are gonna be using modulo, unsaon na nato ang modulo? Modulo 100. So if modulo 100, 23 ang mugawas dire.
Modulo 10, sir.
Modulo 10. Okay. So, ana, modulo 10. So, how do you get 2?
Divide 10. Something.
Num modulo 100. Pero if modulo 100 nimo ang magawas dira 23 man, dili man to. I-divided by i-divide sa og 10.
Yes, sir.
I-modulo og 10. Okay? So i-divide by 10. I-divide by 10. Okay? So you divide by 10, that becomes 12. Okay? So ato ada yung i-modulo. Okay? So para ma-preserve ang precedence, inganaw na to. Okay. So like that. Okay? So how about sa hundreds? Okay. So i-divide, oops, sorry. So that is number i-divide by 100. And then, mauna na siya. Oh, divide, sorry. Divide. Divide. Okay. So, mauna na siya. Okay? So, kung tanaw nimo, actually na pattern sa formula, di ba? This can also be written as num, okay? Para makakuha kag kuan guys, kana bang pwede nimo magamit ang loops, okay? Kay imagine if you have 10 kabuok digits nga extract, ay ako yung magbutang sa kag ones, tens, 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1,000,000, so on and so forth. Kalas kaayo og variables, di ba? And if you look at the so-called numbers, okay, you can actually extract a pattern sa formula. Okay? Kabantay mo? So, if napakay thousands place, okay, you can actually still apply that same formula. Kanya, sa ganito, modulo 10. Would that still apply if I have 4 digits? Num divided by 1,000 modulo 10. Would I get 1? Yes. How about sa hundreds? Num divided by 100. So I get 12. And modulo 10, I get 2. Okay, nakuha na ko si 2. Tens. Num divided by 10. So I got 123. Modulo 10. So makuha na ko si 3. Correct. Okay. This is the generic formula nga pwede na itong extract base diri sa ato ang gibuhat na program. Okay. Now, if I am gonna be simplifying this program, I don't want to create a variable for each of the digits in my number. Okay? Kay of course, base sa given, kung magtanaw ka, dili tanan pare-pareha og length sa input. Nay uban tig 6, nay uban tig 7, nay uban tig 5. Okay? Would there be a better way to make the program, like converting this into a loop? Okay? Nakakita mo sa pattern, guys? To extract the ones, 1 na po ibutang. To extract the tens, 10 ra po ibutang. To extract the hundreds, 100 po ibutang. To extract the thousands, 1,000 po ibutang. Kung sa'yo nakita na itong pattern, ana,
Okay, multiply by 10, sir.
multiply by 10. Okay? Multiply by 10. Okay, so if you see ang mag-usab-usab ana is only the divisor. From 1, nahimong 10, nahimong thousands, nahimong hundred nga thousands, then probably naapoy 10,000. Okay? Naamoy nakit-an nga pattern how the number or the divisor is increasing its value. Hint, number system. Okay? What have you observed? Okay? Oh, that's my hint, number system. Number system, base 10. Hello? Wala, Jud? Decimal? Okay. Sige, yes, this is decimal number system. Okay. Pero tanawa guys, okay? Tanawa ang number. 1, 10, 100, thousands, 10,000. Okay? Place value. Okay? Or the weight of the number. So, if you express this in scientific notation, di ba? This is 10 raised to the power of 0, 10 raised to the power of 1, 10 raised to the power of 2, 10 raised to the power of 3, and 10 raised to the power of 4, so on and so forth. Okay? Can you see now a pattern as to how we might be able to solve the problem? Okay? Kay lisod man kaayo sa program, di ba? Kung mag-ingani ta, input in. Okay? So probably, oy, asa naman to? Oy. So lisod man kayo maingon tag int. Unsa to? Input. Okay? So you do this. Input is equal to convert that to int, then console that read line. Okay? So I think this was your first solution, right? Okay, basahon sa as integer si input, and once mabasa as integer sa input, what you can do next is, of course, extract the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, so on and so forth. Di ba? But ang question is, kung saan man mo pag-manipulate and compare kung pila ka buok ang gipang order. Di ba? Lisod kay na siya guys. Kung ingani una to, tagsao na to. Okay, nakita ninyo ang logic behind this problem. Lisod kayo
Yes,
kung
sir.
maanag sa kag variable. Okay? So the best way or the best approach for this is to make use of array. Kay once masud nimo ang value sa array, magamit man nimo ang loop para maka-check ka sa value tagsa-tagsa. Okay? So we need to extract that value out. Okay? So unsaon ka na siya. Okay? How? Ikaw na. Okay. So, what we could use actually, pwede ta mo gamit og string. Okay? Because we already know that a string is just an array of characters. And we know that ang characters nga to ang basahon dire is limited lang from the range of 1 to 6. Okay? You only have 6 characters na bantayanan. Okay? So why not read it as a string? Okay? So let's say if we're gonna be reading it as a string, so let's say ngani ato ang sample code na ron. Okay? string input. Okay? So, sige. If we read it as a string, how can we break it down? Okay? So, take note, ang idea na niya is kung string na siya, okay, it is just like an array of characters. So, let's say, given lang na ako'y 4 kabuok. This is my string. Okay? So, sa string na ako'y 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So, take note, ang first element nimo is naa diri sa thousands place. Second element, hundreds, then tens, o ones. But ang question is, does it matter ang weight sa number? Okay? Mo matter ba? Nga kani si 2 naa diri nga position, nasa hundreds, si 5 nasa thousands. Does it matter? Dili, di ba? Kay nga naman, it doesn't represent a real number because this represent as a string indicating the number of orders or the menu nga gi-order. Okay? It doesn't represent actually a real number. Okay? So basically string ra jud siya. Okay? Pero each string composing of a number defines your order. Okay? So dili mo matter ang iyahang weight. Okay. So having that in mind, unsay sunod natong buhaton? How can we convert and check each of the number inside the string? Okay? How? How do you access each character of a string? Gamito na to iyang index. Okay? So that means if let's say for instance you have this string, oops. Okay? May nagtimuan eh. Kamu mo nang pabuhaton ako. Kamu jud. Okay? So, kung nga na gani, this is a string. So, if you make use of indexing, possible di ay nga ma-access nimo ang first element in the array of characters. Okay? So, if you want to check that out, okay, let's try it here in CodeChum. Okay? Asa na tong playground? Night. Where is the playground? Wait. Asa si playground?
Lower right, sir.
5-star restaurant. Dara. Test problem. Okay. So, let's try this out. Couple type. Okay. So, let's say for example, okay, let's try to check if that's true. Okay. So, console dot right line. Okay. So, ito ang i-display si input. Okay. So, here is another way of printing your variables. Okay. So, what I'm doing here, guys, nagamit ko plus sign, giplasan ako og string. This will actually convert this variable into a string which is printable using right line. Okay? So actually kana siya, pare-pareha pud na siya sa katong gibuhat ninyo wherein gagamit mo og curly brackets. Okay? So same ra na ani. Okay? So same ra na siya. Okay, so let's try this out. Okay, so execute the code. Yara. Syntax error. O, unsa man siya. Using. Anong error man siya sa using?
C, sir.
Ay, C. Scott. C sharp. Ay, mabantay si C sharp. Okay. Ox, manong giran test man. Execute sa code. Unexpected symbol. Unsa may unexpected symbol diyan? Line, unsa man siya? Line 9. 246. Kay kulang og interactive ba niya ako ang gigamit? Sa mukha, hindi ko nakita. With line. Na ay sobrang karakter. Index out of bounds. O wala ko makaset sa interactive mode. Scott. Okay, so mo ni makalagot ani. Di man interactive mode ang iyahang gibuhat. O wala ko custom input nga gibutang. So magbutang sa custom input 3, 4, 5, 6. So kana. So execute the code. Okay. So as what we can see here, ang atong input 3, 4, 5, 6. We were able to extract out 3 by simply accessing the index. Okay. So if you modify this to, let's say, 2, okay, so take note, 0, 1, 2. So expected, ang output nato dira would be 3 and 5. So as expected, that means you can actually make use di of your string and access each of the character using indexing method. Okay? So again, same sa array of characters in C. But of course, gagamit lang diri og another data type of string to represent your array of characters. Okay? So mo na siya guys. Nya unsa may ato ang sunod buhaton ani? Okay? Now we know that we could actually access each character's string and treat it as a character. Okay? What will we do next? Okay? Unsang approach atong buhaton? Okay? Now, how do we know if naay order or minimal ang order? Okay? What would be the proper way of approaching the problem? Okay? So, basically, what we can do is simply, kung saka ni siya, store ni nato sa array. So, array naman ni siya, pero characters lang ni. Okay? So, you could actually compare. Okay? Of course, ang ato ang value dito is unsa man. Okay? 1 to 5. Unsa may pamaagi pag monitor nato kung naabay gi-order or wala. Okay? So, let's say naatay unsa to nga input diri sample. Ay naman nawagtang sa bukan. Okay? So, test case. As of example, test case. Okay? So, dire. Base ani nga inputs ang nitatagamay-gamay kay taas kayo. Okay? So, base ani nga input, let's say. Okay? If we have that as our input, unsaon na nato siya pag monitor as to unsa nga order or unsa nga menu ang wala ma-order o unsay nay pinakagamay if we are to use an array. Okay, what would be the best approach? Okay, so do you want to visit each element in the array? Okay, would it be something like this? Kadaghan to that. 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. Of course, this is of index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So, mag-visit ka tagsa-tagsa. Nya, check nimo. Okay. For each of the menu, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Na every time maka-visit ka, add kag 1. Okay. 2. Add 1. So, nanay usa. 1. Nanay usa. 3. So, ang 1 nahimo ng 2. 2. So, ang 1 dire nahimo ng 2. Okay? Visiting each of the index. What do you think? Posible, no? Pwede. Pero, mas maayo siguro, guys, instead of doing that, make use of the array mismo. Okay? Kung say pasabot of the array, nagamit na bitog array say, pasabot na ko when I say use the array is that you create an array like this. Okay? Hindi na ako i-code ha. Ako na lang pakita ninyo ang steps. So, nanay, of course, ang array na to, pilay size array, 7. Kaya di man taka create og 6 nga given that the index is magsugod diri. Okay? But actually, pwede man na in the background. Okay? Minusan ng nimo by 1. But again, ang idea is something like this. Okay? I-plot nimo daan ang index. Okay? Plot nimo ang index, and then as you traverse through your string, reading each of this as an integer, gamito na nimo siya as index when you add a value diri sa imuhang array. So this is an integer array. So let's say, okay, igbasa na ko sa akong string input. Ako anang i-convert into an integer ang kanaang character. And that integer, I will use it as an index to access this so-called menu. Okay? So, igtanaw niya, uy, 3. Agto ko sa index 3. Add ko 1. Uy, 2. Agto ko sa index 2. Add ko 1. Uy, 1. Agto ko sa index 1. Add ko 1. Pag-check na ko diri 3. Uy, agto ko sa index 3. So, I increase this to 2. So, add ko 1 na sad. Okay? Next, agto na sa kog index 2, I increase this again by 1. So, this becomes 2. Okay? So, something like that. And then, once mahumana nimo og scan tanan, then you check each of this kung kinsay na ay 0. So, since 4, 5, and 6, 0, then i-print na nimo 4, 5, and 6. Okay? Nakuha ninyo ang idea, guys? Okay? So, again, you just treat your string as an array of characters. Okay? And use the convert function to convert each of this character into an integer nga pwede nimong gamiton as an index to increase the value of each of this storage sa imuhang integer array, which is will serve as your menu counter. Okay? So ana nimo i-jot down ang orders. Nya mo na imuhang i-sort out later. Okay? So kung kinsa tong mga naay nag-zero, then you print it. Okay? So of course, that is the first condition. Okay? Identify which dishes do not sell. So if in case i-check nimo sa imong array wala gani zero dira, then what do you do next? Look for the menu with the least number of orders. So pangitaon na sad nimo dira kung kinsay nay usa lang ka order. Okay? So mao to i-print nimo. Okay? So after sa zero, wala may nag-zero, so increase ka by 1. So ang mga 1 na pod mo'y pangitaon nimo diri. So kinsa may naay 1, so si 1. So ang ma-display ra diri 1 if ever gani na ay sulod si 4, 5 ug 6. So ingon ara guys ang iyang approach sa programming. Okay, tilaw na sabtan ra guys. Okay, si Canonigo Roman Termi ang nagsigig yes sir. How about ang uban? Sige daw. Okay. So again, it's just a matter of using loops dere guys. Okay, once you read the input, gamit tag loops. So for unsa ganito? The good thing about this is you can declare the variable inside the for loop. Okay, so int I is equal to 0 while I is less than unsa may ato ang range. Okay, how will we know? Okay, very good. So take note, ang string na to na siya gitawag nga function nga length. Okay, na siya function nga length o capital L day na siya. Okay, so we can use that to determine as to pila ka buok elements ang naa sa ato ang string. Okay, so mag I++ na lang ka. Okay, so kana. Okay, so diri anhin na ka mag populate katong sa imuhang array nga menu. Okay, which is composed of unsa ta siya guys? Pila ka elements. Okay, so inantag from 0 to 6. So therefore, create ka og new int with 7 elements. Okay, so i-disregard lang nimo. Actually, pwede raman sad 6 ang imong ibutang. Okay, so imuha lang ilad-ilaron ba nga ang index nimo 0 will represent the first menu. Mag +1 lang ka internally, but of course kung ganahan ka straightforward kana. But assuming you don't use 0 index when checking. Okay, so pwede rin na. So what's next? What do you need to do again? Okay, access the character. Okay, so what character is that? Ang input character. Okay, basahon na nimo. So starting at index I. Okay, so kung sa may buhaton na to ani, i-convert ni siya into what? We convert this into a number. And how do you convert that into a number? So let's say int index is equal to input. Pero unsa man si input, itaagi ni mog convert that unsa man siya to int. Okay, but take note, if this is a character, okay, if you convert that into an integer, i-print nimo ana guys, ang mogawas dira would be ang ihang ASCII code nga value sa integer. Okay, so dapat if you want to convert that into an integer, you need to convert this into a string. So how to convert that into a string? So pwede ra ka mag-add og empty na space. Okay, so this is a string nga design and you simply add it to your variable nga numerical variable to convert this into a string which is convertible into this int. Okay, so kana lang. And then what to do next? Okay, so access the menu. Okay, unya, the index, mo na siya'y mo serve as the index to access that array nga menu nga imuhang i-need to increase. Okay? So, basically mo na ang first part. Ani. Okay? Pag-add ani nila. Okay? Sa imuhang array. So, of course, once mahuman ka og basa ani tanan, okay? So, himo na sad kag for loop. Okay? So, sa for loop nimo dire, int I is equal to again 0 while I is less than pila to size 7. So I plus plus. Okay, so what do we do here? Okay, so anhin na ka mag-check, okay, sa imuhang um, mag-check sa imuhang array as to whether if your menu base sa index I is equal to 0. Okay, so if equal to 0, then you console that right line. Okay, so something like this. Okay, so unsa i-print nato diri? Okay, ang i-print nato diri would be ang unsa man, ang value ni I, which refers to the what? Which refers to the menu. Okay, so I is the index, of course, referring to the menu nga wala ma-orderan. Okay, so pwede ka ingana. Okay, and also pwede ka mo create of another variable if in case nga all the menu here, okay, wala gani ni satisfy ani nga nag-equal to 0, di ba? Wala man kay ma-print kung wala equal to 0. So therefore, let's say ano, no order is equal to false. Okay, so that is just like murag tandanan lang na nimo. Again, you can use int, but since na may boolean, we'll use that proper data type. That will serve as our flag. Okay, such that pwede na nimo gamiton nga kung makadetect ka og 0 nga value dira sa imong menu nga array, iset minimum to true. That means naay menu nga nay 0 nga order. And why do I need to take note of that? Because pwede na nimo gamiton sa second condition nga if no order, okay, this is for trapping the next condition, is equal to false. Okay, unsay pasabot aning false, meaning since walay nag-0, walay na print nga menu, di ba? So if there is no order nga nag-set og true nga condition, pasabot tanang menu na order. And the next thing that we will be doing is to check, okay, for menu nga there is only one order. Di ba? So, ano? Okay? Ug asa di atong dara di atong for loop. Okay? Sorry. Wala mapilog kopya tanan. If dra. Okay, so ang condition na to 1 na lang. Okay? So, something like this. Okay? So, dire, usbo na sa nimo. Okay? Let's say order is, ayan na lang siguro, no? No order. Let's say for 0. Okay? So, dire, pwede ka maghimo na sad. No order for 1. Okay? Nya imuhang ibutang sa diri, copy and paste ra na siya until maabot ka og 6. Okay? Gabihan mo daghan ng order eh. Sharo. Okay, so I think pwede ra ta mo stop dira kay kasagaran sa examples dito kay kanira man minimum of 1 order lang. Okay? So kung walay order dire nga na zero nga value, that means tanang menu na order, ang imong pangitaon sunod would be the menu with the least number of orders. So basically probably 1 order lang for each menu. So imuha nang i-print dire. Okay? So if in case, let's say for example, ang minimum order sa matag usa ka menu is 3, then mo nasa na imong i-print na po dire. After sa 1, 2 na po, so on and so forth. Okay? So in a way nga na ra guys. Okay? So mo na siya ang ato ang approach for this problem. Okay? So string siya. Okay? Since wa man gud takabaw as to whether pilay length sa input. So we treat it as a string and we just break it down into characters and utilize it to update the menu array that monitors the number of orders per menu. Okay? So mao na siya for kani 5-star restaurant. Okay? Nya kani murag mo ni lingaw-lingaw sad nga problem. So actually I think ang problem jud ninyo ani it's not updating the content of the array kay dali ra man to makit-an, di ba? If ang mga value less than ana niya is mas gamay. So I think the main problem here nga ina-encounter ninyo guys, okay? Asa na ba to? Activities. Okay, so the main problem ninyo dire is actually how to break down it into an array of integers. Okay? So kanino kay na may spacing. Okay? So kung basahon nimo as string tanan, again ang problem ani niya is how do you neglect the spaces? Okay? So basically this problem is about how to convert each of this value and put it inside an array. Okay? So unsaon man na siya? Okay? So again, if we look at the problem, okay? So actually kung nabutang na nimo sa array each of those number, dali naman lang, di ba? Okay? Kay sa problem is unsa raman, again, based on the problem. I need a help with my coding. You see, I'm trying to create a program for a client that stores integer data provided by them into an array, but at the last second, they want to change the data already stored. So, graphically, again, na-array involved. Okay? So, base daw dire, okay, stores integer data provided by them into an array, but at last second, they want to change the data stored. And how do you change the data stored? As stated here, they simply want to replace every element of the array with the greatest element to its right side, and all the arrays have standard size of 10 to boot. Okay? So, automatic dayon. Create dayon kag array of integers with the size of 10. Okay? So, ang problem ana is how to convert the entry into an array of integers for you to manipulate later. Okay? So, ang example dire, as you can see, okay, there are 10 elements in your array. Okay? Kay standard size man. So, what ay problema sa size? Kabaw na tadaan, pilay size. Ang problem lang is how to get this and store it into the array. Okay? kay separated man siya by spaces. Okay? So apparently there is a function on the string kaning gitawag natong split. Okay? And you can use kaning space as a delimiter to convert each of this into an array element. But of course, wala man nag-discuss, let's not use that. Let's use katurag gihapong paggamit ni string as an array of characters. Okay? Something nga naagian ninyo sa C. Okay? So, mag-create tag atua. Okay? So, understanding the problem as what we can see here, okay, unsay nahitabo. Okay? Ingon niya, ilisan daw sa, unsa na siya? Every element with the greatest element to its right side. And all of the arrays have the standard size of 10 to boot. Okay? So, base dire sa test case, kung magtanaw ta, okay, given this value, kaning naa sa right side niya, ilisa niya value nga 9. Okay? Kana tanan. And, ano ba ni? Ang 1 lagi. Gibot ka nga. Okay. Kay wala na may number before niya, giilisan po niya si 9 o 1. Okay? So, essentially, ang ikanapo ba ni? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? So, tanang value nga mas dako. Okay? Before, or rather, tanang value nga mas gamay before niya, ilisda niya o value. Okay? So, including katong last element. Okay? Nga nakapamodify sa entry sa imuhang array. So, as you can see, ang changes nga nahitabo. Okay, this is 9. So, before niya, change po og 9. As we move through the element from here to here, okay, kani sila, natakuban naman ni sila, kay mas dako man si 7. So, gilisda nag 7 tanan. Okay? So, from here to here, gilisdan po og 2 kay mo may mas dako. So, as expected sa output niya, as you can see, ang ika-10th or rather ika-9th nga index or 10th element always naka-0. Okay? So, yung ana ra ihang style, di ay. Okay? So, mag-monitor lang pa. Okay? Sa imuhang left side na ilisa nimo. So, this will be taking a lot of loops sa imuhang code. Okay? But again, I think that's not the problem. The main problem here is how to actually put this into an array. Okay? So again, how do we put that into an array, guys? So same ra gihapon sa gibuhat ganina. Okay? So basahon gihapon nimo siya as what? As string. Okay? So let's say string input is equal to console. Okay, madiretso na lang ko dire ha. Okay, tabaw naman ka atong sa procedure. So basa ka. Okay, so what is the next thing to do? Okay, how do you store each of those characters into an array? So since expected man size of 10, okay, mag-create tag storage an integer, okay, an integer array. Unsa may tawag na to, ani value na lang, value. Create taog integer array with what? 10 elements. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so given naman na siya. So of course, what do we do next? So create a for loop. Okay, so sa for loop, again, standard int I is equal to 0 while I is less than unsa man the input dot length. Okay, so that would be I plus plus. Okay, so we will use this loop to traverse through our array of characters that represents your string. Okay, so base sa entry, okay, base sa given problem, asa na to? Okay, ang entry nato diri is single digits naman, di ba? From 0 up to 9. Okay, di ba wala may double digit no for each entry. Kabantay mo sa given, okay, 0 to 9 lang. So, kung saan na to pagsulod, matag usaan nila dire sa ato ang integer array. Okay? So definitely there must be a way for us to know, okay, these ranges of value na 0 to 9. Okay? And if you have read some of the example, you could actually use, okay, comparison operator to check if this input ba is greater or equal to a value of 0 to 9. Okay? Kay kabawta ang character, di ba? Nga 0 to 9, naman na siya iyang ASCII value nga nagsunod pod. Okay, do you still remember that one, guys? ASCII code. Okay, for characters 0 to 9, pariharag A to Z ba? Nga, let's say for example, if A is, pila tong A, 67 ba to? Yan ha. ASCII code. Nalimot ko. ASCII code of A to Z. Okay, so ASCII code of letter A is 97. So let's say ASCII code of value 0 to 9 is 48. So 48, mo na siya sa 0. So plus 1, 2, 3 until maabot ka og 9. Okay, so starting at 48 is 0. So mora na imong bantayanan nga range, 48 to 57. Okay? So of course, kung wa mo kabaw sa ASCII code, kay di man pwede mag-change og tab, kung saan na nako pag-detect ang value nga 0 to 9. So you can just put there a condition na if the input nga imuhang gibasa starting at index 0, which is defined by I, is greater than or equal to the value of character 0, okay, at the same time, the input at index I is less than or equal to the character represented by 9. Okay, so this condition would allow us to track those character values between 0 to 9. Okay, so unsa na nato pagsud sa value? So of course, ang nakabutang diri, di ba, naaraman tay 10 elements nga ibutang. So ang first, second, third, fourth, fifth, so on and so forth. So would it be safe if you make use of I also as your index? Would it be safe to say like this? Okay, di mo ingon ta o unsa na siya. Input I. Okay, so of course, input I, this is a character. Kung isud na nimo diretso diri, it will generate an error kay character man. So you need to convert it first into integer. Okay? To int. So something like this. And of course, since this is a character, if you convert that to int, it will give you the ASCII code. So you need to convert this first into a string. Something like this. Okay? Now, apparently, if we do this, may possible error. Kay take note, sa entry nimo, ani, di ba? This is a string with more than 10 index. Okay? More than 10 elements. Nganong more than 10 elements man, sir? Nga 10 ramang kabuk numbers. Take note, apilon man niya basa ang space. So, pila jud ni kabuk elements ang naa-diri sa ato ang input. So, that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So, there will be 19 elements. So, if we make the code like this, pasabutan na, if di siya musud ani, okay, sa zero index, kung igsud niya sa zero index, okay, masud ang value. Igsud niya dire, di ba, sa first nga index, dili siya musud. Kay dili man siya value nga 0 to 9, space man na siya. I-increase na pod ni I to index 2, musud na pod siya ani nga condition, and value I would have a value of pila? 2. Ang problema ani ron, as you increase your value of I, and mulapas na ka og 10, ikabot na nimo og 11, it will generate an error na index array out of bounds. Okay, unsa man ang index array out of bounds? Nilapas ka sa size sa imong value. Okay? So which is sayop, kay ibutang nimo aning mga value kani sila, okay? Ig-ani man unta na ang itsura sa imong array. Okay? So take note, let's say, sana siya 2 space 1 space 0, so on and so forth. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Dapat ang imuhang pa nga sa itong array, value array, okay, dapat isud si 2, of course, sakto sa 0 index, pero kaning si 1 dapat anhi ibutang. Okay, so dapat kaning si 1 anhi ibutang sa next nga value. Kaning si 0 ibutang diri sa third index. Di ba? Nakita ninyo guys? As I transfer it to another array source. Okay? So, we should use another variable to monitor the index of the value every time you add those character number into the value nga variable. So, pwede ka magbutang diri og, let's say, int CTR. Okay? So, short for counter. Okay? So, siya may mo monitor ana. So, every time maka-add ka of character, so simply you increase the value of your CTR to prepare for the next index ni value. Okay? So, kana ra guys. Okay? Para ma-transfer nimo siya into this format na array. So, once na ana kayong ani, igo na lang ka mag-search na lang pod. Okay? Check ka. Okay, 2. Is it greater than 1? Okay? Or rather, is it less than the next index? No. So, padayon ka until such time na makita niya nga ang number nga 9. Kung makakita siya 9, okay, expected, ang pinakadako na ko diri, nga una na ko nakita is 2 man, and it is less than 9. So, therefore, I will modify all this value to 9. Okay? And set that value to 0. So, mag-search na po siya another number. Okay? Until makakita siya number na mas dako niya. Tanaw niya, uy, 3, mas dako kaysa sa 1. So, ilisa na po na niya 3 dira. Okay? And then, you move again to 3, iset na sa na siya 0. Then, again, you look for other numbers na pwede nimong i-modify for that. Okay? So, of course, you need to make use of variables pod that would monitor asa ka last ni left off. Para kabaw ka when to stop on your loop as you modify the entry of this array. Okay? So, kana ra guys, I think anhira mo dapita masangit siguro sa kaninga problem. Okay? how to put that into an array, which is basically masolbat na ninyo with the knowledge in C. Given that, of course, nasabta nato nga a string is just simply an array of characters. Okay? So, mauna siya ang problem. So, medyo lisod-lisod jud ni siya. Kani, mas lisod-lisod ni siya compared atong sa tawag ato restaurant. Medyo taas-taas ni siya og condition kay tungod aning loop within a loop. Okay? So mag-search ka, ika-search nimo nga mas gagmay na sila nga numbers kaysa sa kani nga value kay mo balik naman sad ka og atras. Okay? So ang loop nimo nga buhaton is kun na sad paatras na pod. Okay? If the condition is met. Okay, so anyway, mao na siya guys. Okay, try nyo lingaw balik og solve. Okay, when you are having your free time. Okay, so I think that's for now. Okay, C# basics. Mag-discuss lang ni ata later on about the other features that would simplify our work. Okay, like for example, mga methods na pwede nato magamit in C#, and later we'll also be discussing more about classes and how classes are used for object-oriented programming. Okay, so before we proceed with the programming again in C#, knowing C# more, I would like to share with you, okay, di na lang ni nako i-discuss, okay, but I have here a link, a YouTube link, okay, giving you an introduction to object-oriented programming. Okay, so part man na siya sa ato ang katong sa course outline nga ako ang gi-share ninyo before, okay, to give you an introduction on object-oriented programming. Though this this topic is focused on Java, but since the topic involves concepts man lang, this concept is actually also applicable to C#. Okay? So, dili man ni siya programming language specific na video. Okay? It simply talks about the concepts of OOP, like in general, unsa man ang class, unsa man ang object, unsa man ang inheritance, encapsulation, polymorphism, o abstraction. Okay? Nyara.
Who was in
Na-show na ba? Wala pa di ay. Okay? So, I'll put here guys, okay, para sure ko nga tan-awon jud ninyo nga video. Okay? So, instead of me discussing it, watch the video na lang para ma-replay ninyo all over again, and it will actually consume less bandwidth as compared to kung mag-asynchronous ta. Okay? Sa YouTube, it's only 480p, but readable ra na iyang mga text. And the sound, okay, of course, ang favorite ninyo nga tone, okay, so Indian gihapon ni siya, okay, but the discussion on object-oriented programming, okay, and the introduction is well presented. Okay, nakita na ba ninyo guys? Hala, man. Okay. So, lang, let me share to you, okay, the video, just to give you an overview about what the discussion is all about. Okay. So, nana ni siya guys sa classroom. Okay. So, next meeting before we start, we will have a short check-up quiz. So, no coding, Google form lang sa ata para ako alang ma-evaluate as to whether you were really watching this video. Okay? So, this is a very important discussion as an introductory part for object-oriented programming. Okay? So dapat kabaw sa amo sa terminologies. Okay? Before we start with coding in C# again and dive more on the use of class and kaning gitawag nato nga creating objects. Okay? Naay subtitle. Yes, naara jay subtitle guys. Don't worry. You can clearly understand what is being said because the speaker has a good instruction on English. Okay, okay ra jud kay ni guys. Masabtan ra jud ni ninyo, dili ra kayo siya slang. Okay. So ingana na jud na guys. After you graduate from CPE, probably may ana na inyong tono. Okay. So after watching too much tutorial on YouTube whose speakers are Indian. But to think ha, usahay mas ganahan ko sa Indian nga discussion compared sa English. Okay? So, labi ng mga basic concept. Okay? Nindot ang ilahang pagka-present. Okay? So, anyway, malingaw ra mog tan-aw ani niya kay dili man ni siya purely text. Okay? There's a lot of visual aids that could help you understand more about the basic concepts of OOP. Okay? So, kani ako alang sa gining gibalik-balik kay nindot pagka-present niya ang basic concepts in OOP. So, na mga pictures diri wherein mas dali mo makarelate. So, apart from the discussion of OOP, gi-present pod niya diri ang kaning gitawag nato nga procedural type nga programming and how it might differ from OOP nga approach. Okay? So it will give you a different overview about how programming language work base sa inyong nagian in C. But